on to 999.
Yes, we should.
We're going to hear from stars of the film Chiwetel Ejiofor and Anthony Mackie after this clip.
Yeah, we're dealing with the crash and bash. Four-man team. We're pulling surveillance now.
Dive Pack destroyed most of what they took in cash, but their focus was on a security deposit box.
Yeah.
Belonging to who?
It belonged to a wealthy Russian named Dmitry Pekov.
Family claims they have no idea why he would keep a box here. That's Walter Sims, the bank manager, right behind him.
Walter. Detective Allen. First time being robbed? No fun, right?
They got pictures of my family, my daughters, where we live, my daughter's school.
Walter, you're a bank manager. You should be smart enough to know that the monster has gone digital. Be careful what you Insta-Google tweet paste.
Yeah, I love like a heist movie, you know. I think they're always they're always good. You know, they're always fun. They're always engaging. And I remember seeing, you know, Dustin Hoffman in Straight Time. And that really was one of the bases, I think, for the, you know, I had a conversation with John Hillcoat about it, was one of the bases of that first heist, of just that intensity, but, you know, that Hoffman also, just because it's all done in one take, you know, he walks into I think it's like a diamond shop and just starts smashing the glass cases, and it's all like this whole thing is taking off, and he is getting more and more frantic as he's trying to get out, you know, with his diamonds. And there was just something about that beginning a movie that is just so compelling, and I think Heat is again a great example of a heist movie. And I did a film with Spike Lee called Inside Man, which again had like a great kind of opening and a fascinating bank heist. You know, so it's always been a genre that I've kind of enjoyed, and so it was great to have the experience of doing this with John as well.
The thing that I love about working with John is he never described us as bad guys or good guys. It was never, because even when if you are the quote unquote bad guy, you still know why you're doing what you're doing and you believe in what you're doing. So you're not a bad guy to yourself. You're not judging yourself. You know, you're just acting the way you're supposed to act and doing what you're supposed to do. And he always gave us the freedom to be honest with ourselves about who our character was.
Chiwetel Ejiofor and Anthony Mackie speaking there, just two of the stars in the all-star cast that is 999, directed by John Hillcoat. And both of them spoke very fondly of him there in those interviews.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, you can see why he's clearly a well-travelled director. He did The Road, which is one of my favourite films, and I know he did The Proposition with Ray Winston, which I desperately need to see. And this time he's back with 999. The film follows a group of criminals and corrupt cops who are being blackmailed by the Russian mafia, led by Kate Winslet, who is, well, in America anyway. It's a very different role from Steve Jobs, which he won the BAFTA for earlier this week. It's a very, very different role. The only way to sort of appease these Russian gangsters is to perform an extremely challenging heist, and despite the difficulty of it, they hatch a plan. On one side of the town, half of the crew will commit a murder of a rookie cop, while the rest of the police force is directed by the 999 incident, which, if you don't know the police codes, which I don't explain, the 999...
Nobody should know the police codes.
Nobody should know the police codes.
Well, they do now.
They do now. Nobody should know, but the 999 code is Officer Down, which means the entire police force will respond to that, and they will swarm to the incident, which allows the crew to sort of get in, get the heist, and get what they need. And you know, it is very, very similar to Sicario in some of its DNA. 999. I did like some of the tone of the film and the way it's shot, and sort of some of the music as well, especially, really did evoke Sicario. And I feel like ultimately Sicario was nearly the same quality film as 999 was, because 999, while it didn't have Deakins, Emily Blunt, or Benicio del Toro, who I know is your favourite part of that film, it's a really, really good film. And part of that is because of the general tone of it, because like Sicario, it is unremorsely depressing. It is really, really, really downbeat, and does sort of, I mean, it goes into that slimy underworld of the crooked cops and the criminals. The whole crew, and played by people like Chiwetel Ejiofor, it's a massively sort of talented cast. You've got Aaron Paul as well, Anthony Mackie and Clifton Collins Jr. filling out the rest of the crew. They're all extremely talented actors who know how to play characters with duality, and they all help bring sort of a big sense of morality into that, and the argument of what they're doing is right or not, because they all have motivations for what they're doing, and you really are wondering whether you should root for them or not, or whether you should root for the other side of the story, which is Woody Harrelson's lead detective, who is sort of playing the typical Woody.
The true detective.
The true detective DNA in his character as well. He essentially is playing his character without McConaughey's sort of philosophical bounce off like True Detective Season 1 had. Then you've got Casey Affleck sort of white bread, you know, what? Casey Affleck's bland, you know, like...
I get what you're saying.
You get what I mean, you know. There's nothing wrong with that guy. He's completely white in terms of in terms of his morality.
Grey.
There are no grey areas, you know.
He's completely white.
In terms of his morality level, you know. And, you know, you really are wondering whether you should root for these characters who have so much charisma, or whether you should play, like, back Casey Affleck's by-the-book detective. And you really do get sort of a sense of whether you want to root for them or not. And the story does allow you to choose for yourself. But there is just so much gore, and it is really fleshy, as you were saying off the mic. It is really gruesome in some of the stuff it does, and it's unremittingly sort of... You really do get to feel, like, the downbeatness of the whole thing, like how many crooked cops are in on this, you know, and you've wondered just how far the extent of this is in reality, and how many more stories like 999 might be in progress, you know, like in real life, essentially. But I mean, yeah, from start to finish, I mean, it's dark, and not in the way that some movies try desperately to be dark and gritty. It generally does have a tone of utter despair, and that carries the whole way through with such a massively talented cast that you're really always wondering what side you're on and who you want to come out on top. And the soundtrack is just fantastic. The way it's shot is brilliant. Like, again, evoking Sicario and some of the highway shots it's got. That the highway scene where the actual 999 happens especially evoked feelings of Sicario. And the whole way through, it's just a really well crafted film, and probably one of my favourite fillers of the past few years.
It reminds me a lot of Heat as well.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's got incredible DNA with Heat. Obviously not as good as Heat, because it is an all-time classic.
No De Niro,
but I know you were saying to me earlier today, Dan, that you would watch Heat anyway if it was just 2 hours.
Of them talking
in Heat. But yeah, I mean, it does really feel like a mashup of Heat and Sicario alongside its very own story and its very own DNA, and that was for me enough to make it stand out as something really special. I would really, really recommend it.
Yeah, the cast obviously very impressive. To put together a cast like that is an achievement in itself, but to have them all perform and to get those performances out of them. I mean, Kate Winslet is completely like nothing you've ever seen before from Kate Winslet. Even she was surprised that she got the role from an interview I heard yesterday. The film itself, I mean, the tone is undeniably pretty spot on from the very beginning. You've got the sense of this, you feel very immersed in this horrible, scuzzy world. I guess the problem is that they try and stuff in too much. It feels like every single character's got a backstory, and they try and explore it all in about an hour 50. Maybe if this was Heat length, close to 3 hours, and you had a bit of time to let it breathe and kind of cover all bases, maybe it would have worked better for me. It just feels that there's too many stories in there. I mean, it's kind of put together because the writer sat on a train with somebody, and they were a criminal, and they just told them all their stories. It seems that they used them all and just kind of packed them all in there. I think it's good that they're all developed characters. It just felt too much, and that as such some things are left unexplored.
There are so many twists and turns within the story. It really does let you be involved in the story.
Yeah, I'm no denying that.
It always kept me guessing. I think that's a big reason why I liked it so much, because you never really knew what the direction the story was going in. And I do agree with you. I think it could have shaved off some of the running time, but I don't think that ruined my enjoyment at all.
You say about not knowing where it's going, that could be classed as aimless, and I think sometimes it was aimless. And I think when it I didn't know how long the film was when I saw it.
Maybe I need a rewatch.
I imagined around 2 hours. So when it got to around that time and it did end, I was like, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
I kind of didn't realise. I thought it could have gone on for a bit longer, maybe a little bit less. I don't know.
But I know Dan was interested in this, and I would recommend this to you. If you're a fan of Heat, which I know you are, definitely see this, because it does have the DNA of Heat, but it's nowhere near as good. But it's still a very good film on its own.
We've mentioned this film on the show a few weeks ago and seen, it really had to deliver, and I think it does.
I think it does.
I'll recommend it.
Just quickly, there was an interesting casting with this, by the way. Casey Affleck's character was first going to be played by Shia LaBeouf. Right. Next played by Charlie Hunnam.
Great.
And also Kate Blanchett and Christoph Waltz could have also been in the cast at some point, so it's always had sort of a great caliber cast. But yeah, I mean, the cast worked together great, and it's got a dark tone, and it carries the story well, and it always kept us guessing.
I
get the concerns.
That was the worry, yeah. But the MVP for me, Woody
Harrelson.